too much access to the wrong person can be toxic. So how do you start to navigate those two things?
Correct. Well, you know, I think it's like your home. You know, there are people that can access your front door, your gate, delivery people, but you know, you had better not come beyond the front door, the step. There are people that can come from the front door into the living part of your home. There are other people who have proven, and the relationship is at a level that can have access to your bedroom. And so I think we have to qualify people for the different dimensions of access in our lives and not become so excited or enamored by the optics that we don't bring a person through the proper testings to prove that, see, a man should prove that he's earned certain levels of access. And I think this is where we're breaking down today. Women are giving men too much access too fast. Now I'm said to be old fogey. Oh, he's a religious guy, you know, so they push back on me, but I just don't believe that.
What are they pushing back on, if you don't mind me asking?
I just think women should slow up with giving men too much sexual access. And a lot of women, you know, this is a different day and age, and I respect that. A lot of women push back on that. A woman cannot use her sexuality like relational currency. And we use currency to, you know, to exchange for what we want, right? Well, today, a lot of women are giving men sexual access, thinking that that exchange is going to end in a commitment or a relationship. I think women have to go back and understand the value that they are and really reassess how much access should I give a man? How soon should I? In fact, it's not even giving him access. It's him earning access, proving. Sometimes we're giving things away that have to be earned.
Okay, I now thoroughly understand. I'm conflicted, and in fact, I'm not conflicted. I think a woman's body is her own. So if you want to give it away, go ham, it's your body. Yeah. But I want to make sure people hear what you're saying, because they're trying to dismiss you by saying, but why shouldn't a woman be able to if a guy can? I think a woman should be able to. And that's hopefully the blessing of today's society. But what you're saying, and I think people need to hear this because they cannot dismiss it, is that if you're looking for a long-term relationship and you use getting in the bedroom as a method to get into a long-term committed relationship, it ain't going to work, homie.
It's not going to work.
Yes.
And so, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, exactly.
Now, if you're just a person that, you know, that's the way you want to rock, that's you. I'm preaching, I can accept that because, you know, to each his own. But if your end game is, you know, I want a lifelong partner, committed marriage, I don't, the sexual route is just not it. A man should prove himself into the inner chambers of your life.
Honestly, Artie, I love about your message because it is very honest. And I worry about today's society that everyone's becoming very polarizing on one side or the other. And the truth is that there are certain things that even when I was listening to you triggered me a little, but then I was like, but what's he actually saying, right? Like maybe the words that I've been brought up where it's like submissive, right? That word is freaking triggering. But it's like, well, hang on a minute. Instead of me getting my wall up, what do you actually mean by being submissive? And is there value to this? And I worry that what people are doing are dismissing you by saying you're old school. And now everyone's trying to become the same. And then in everyone trying to become the same, there isn't that dance anymore. To going back to something we said right at the beginning, right, where it's like, if it's a tango, who's leading?
Correct. And so I think that we have to be open, you know, like as a Black Southern preacher, I'm having to be open to this younger generation. There are a lot of things that from my generational context, my social context, I don't necessarily understand or agree with, but I think the outcomes we're all looking for is just a healthier society. And that's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying from my perspective, which is not perfect. I don't know everything. I'm not right about everything. I'm learning from people as I go. My language is evolving as I go. But at the end of the day, I just want the best for you.
And I hear that, but I really appreciate these open conversations, because even in what we're saying, I think people right now, it's very polarizing, like we already said, but that it's a gender-specific thing. And the feminine and masculine that you said earlier was a beautiful breakdown. And to be honest, I'm not even talking about like gender-specific. But, so for instance, let me share something with you. My mum has been married to another woman for 22 years now. But even in their marriage, one of them has more of a feminine energy and the other one has more of a masculine energy. Right. And if they both came to a relationship exactly the same, it wouldn't work. And so with what you're saying, I just go, hey, if you're looking for a masculine partner,
correct,
then adopting a masculine behavior may have may be problematic for you.
Correct.
But people, again, yeah. So you've just mentioned the one thing that a lot of women push back on. What other things are women pushing back on where they're seeing it as maybe an offense, but you're trying to show, like, really get the message across?
Women are pushing back on the sex piece. You know, women feel like they should be more sexually free, but my message again is always, if this is the outcome you're looking for, that might not be the best route. The submission piece, you know, that's a trigger. That's a trigger for a lot of women. And the thing that I think I get the most pushback on is that a woman, I kind of lean in the direction that a woman has to move beyond her type. And she has to really go deeper to search for a man that is her kind. I probably get the most pushback on that. Women want, when they think in terms of choosing a man, they want a certain physical type. They want a certain man that's making a certain amount of money. And it goes back to some of the things we've already talked about. You can have all of these superficial things, but if the core is not there, it's not going to necessarily be sustainable. And so I'm saying, well, if on a scale of 1 to 10, you're saying, I want a man that's an 8 or a 9 in my eyes, maybe you should scale the physical piece back to a 6 and look for a man that's an 8 or a 9 in terms of his character. That's a hard message to get over. Women want the kind of man, they want a 6 foot tall, 6 figures, and yeah.
Do men do the same thing?
Absolutely, you know that. Absolutely, you know that. That's where women learned it from.
So tell me then, why is it detrimental for a woman and not detrimental for the guy?
It is detrimental for the guy. You know, it's just that I think the consequences for a woman with the feminine makeup of her soul are just more immediate. Men, we usually realize that we have faltered later in life. You know, 50 years old, we start looking around, we realize, you know, maybe we have a bunch of kids, but we don't have relationships with them. We don't have a marriage. We don't have a woman to really help us in a season when we probably need more help. Men usually realize the error of their ways later. Women tend to be impacted earlier. You know, you have children for this individual. You knew his character was bad when you got with him. And so now you have children. He's a horrible father. You know, he won't finance the children. Now you're tied up with this man for the next 20 years. So the impact for women is just more immediate, but it's negative on both sides.
I actually really do also empathize with men, because I've heard you talk about how it's difficult that if you've been a man that has maybe been a dog in the past, right? You've been bad to women, you've cheated on them, etc. And now you've seen the error of your ways, you've worked on yourself, you've become a really good human. And now you approach women who have been stung by the dogs that, like who you used to be.
Correct.
But they won't give you another chance now. And now they just look down on you. They treat you badly.
Correct.
So for all the women listening, how can women help men who are, I think you call them reform dogs. How can us women help reform dogs and not be shut off to them, but still protecting ourselves because we have been hurt in the past?
I think listening, you know, and bringing conversation back. You know, sometimes the energy of an initial connection moves to things that are not important, you know, like trying to sexualize the moment, trying to impress one another. When I think a woman, the best thing a woman can do for a man is to ask him questions that he might be able to unpack his soul, especially if he's a man that is coming across as sincere. I think that's going to be one of the first signs that he is sincere, is that he's not going to run from your questions. Your questioning is going to do a few things. It's going to be therapeutic for him to be able to talk about, you know, things that he probably has never communicated to a woman. And it's also going to relieve the woman of questions that she might have relative to, you know, is he safe? Should I proceed? Really bringing the connection back to a cerebral, soulish level, as opposed to a surface, superficial kind of connection. You're not going to really learn much about a man as long as it's just in the club and the dresses and everything, and it's all sexualized. Create moments with a man that you might have some interest in, and maybe he has some issues from his past that he's overcoming. Create moments where you can dig into his heart and you can allow him to express, because we as men, we don't naturally express. And so when a woman gives us an opportunity, without judgment, you know, to really unpack a lot of the things we're thinking and feeling, it creates a bond, it creates a healing, it creates a connection, it creates an understanding. And now the relationship can be built on mutual understanding and openness and honesty. A man being able to be honest with a woman that won't judge him is one of the most healing experiences a man can have. My wife knows everything about me, and she still loves me. She knows the good, the bad, the ugly. She knows things about me nobody else in the world knows, and she still loves me. She has been my greatest source of healing, you know, because she saw me at my worst. She could hear me, she could understand me and feel me. And I never felt judged. I never felt like she was looking down on me. So I would say that is probably paramount, creating an environment where he can talk, letting him talk. It's going to give you an insight to his soul. It's going to bring healing to him. And it's also going to strengthen his emotional intelligence muscle. Because men that have lived a life like that are usually out of touch emotionally, not comfortable with tapping into emotion, and, you know, very little emotional availability. There's this hard shell that we kind of create. But when a woman creates an environment where she's really digging into a man's soul, it breaks that shell open and it reveals the beauty that's in that man's heart. Because nobody's beyond redemption.
If you want to learn why a woman must never chase a man, then click here right now.
You talk about the fact that as women, we should never pursue a man.
Absolutely.
Why?
I stand by it. I believe that the energy